Shawn C without the Nike T. Joyner Lucas just released a new song called I'm Not Racist. Anyone who knows about Joyner Lucas and knows about, his reputation as far as this channel goes, I've been very mixed on a lot of his music. His most recent Number album that came out probably 2 or 3 months ago, I was a little indifferent toward. Mask Off remix that he did months before that, wasn't really impressed with. I felt as though Joyner had this habit of rapping for a really long amount of time but not saying enough to validate all the words that he's spitting. And I'm a little fearful going into this song with that same mentality. I'm trying to be unbiased here. I'm trying to give him 100% chance because this is a very important topic. So I would like to give him my undivided attention. I'm a little annoyed today. I accidentally had a manicure at the mall. When someone stops you, you're like, oh yeah, thanks, I'd like to try a free sample. And then they reel you in with that. I didn't even want the sample. I just wanted to take the packet and I wanted to leave. Then he says, hey, have you heard of this? I wanted to lie so bad, but nothing is coming to my mind fast enough, so I just have to sit there and take this advertising assault. Use hand creams, nail files, facial scrubs. Dude, do you see my face? Does it look like I need your product? Does it look, oh, what's that? Okay, what? You got a new one? It just never ends. You think the presentation's about to end, they hit you with a new product. So that's why I'm a little annoyed, so I don't mind that. But Joyner Lucas, the new single, let's hop into it. Let's discuss it afterwards. Calm down. This is not a hype channel. We discuss, we listen, we talk about it. Let's go.
As soon as I say nigga, then everyone react and want to swing at me and call me racist because I ain't black. Pound that then. Talking about slavery like you was around back then. Like you was picking cotton off the fucking ground.
So I can already see what this is going to be. He's going to have them both speak from different sides of the spectrum. So far, the arguments from the guy with the red hat, I can see the frustration. A lot of those arguments are easily dismantled, but I think what Joyner's trying to do here is speak objectively from both perspectives.
See a black man aiming his gun, but I'd rather see a black man claiming his son. And I don't mean just for one day and you done. I mean, food stands for your children, but you still trying to sell them for some weed and some liquor or a fucking babysitter while you party on the road.
He's not wrong.
Can't escape problems.
He's not wrong, okay?
Got nobody else to blame, so you blame Donald.
All right, so that you ain't got nobody else to blame, so you blame Donald line is extremely true, extremely accurate. I think people give Donald Trump just way too much attention. I know he's the president. I know he's the one that's going to be making the decisions. I know he's trying to pass laws through Congress, and he does affect everyone, but he's not in my local neighborhood. Whatever Donald Trump does, I don't have to really pay attention to. He's not the spokesperson for white people. I'm more affected by the people in my area. I'm more affected by how they raise their kids, how the people I live with are going to act. I think people are so obsessed with the idea that you're supposed to be a role model for grown people. If you're looking at Donald Trump to be a role model for people in their 20s and 30s, you grow up. How he is should be independent from how white people as a whole are. And I know people are really easily influenced, but once you're grown, you should start developing a mentality of your own. That's why they call you an adult after 18, because you begin to develop your own thought process, your own mentality, your own way of life. Barack Obama didn't change mine, and neither is Donald Trump gonna change it. His actions and his sayings can be extremely ignorant, but at the end of the day, people follow what they want to follow. People want to follow Trump, they'll follow Trump. So you can't blame Trump for the mentality of the people around you, because that's what they are. That's what they were going to do anyway.
It's their laws, baby cousin Tracy got a brother and his girlfriend's black.
I've heard that one before.
There's a disconnect between your culture and mine. I worship the Einsteins, study the Steve Jobs, but within you, music rot in your brain and slowly start to convince you. Then you let your kids listen and then the cycle continues. Who's he fighting for? Y'all can take that motherfucker too. He ain't white no more. Pants up, nigga. Put that suit back on. Take that do-rag off. Take that gold out your mouth. Quit the pitiful stuff. And then maybe police will stop killing you. Fuck you. What the fuck? Not racist. No.
All right, this shot right here is so cheesy. I'm sorry, Joyner. I'm gonna talk about that later. So I'm liking his perspective. Both people coming into this argument with the assumption that they don't have any racial tendencies. He made some good points here and there. Now let's hear what the other side has to say.
With all disrespect, I don't really like you white motherfuckers. That's just where I'm at. I don't mean that you can say it just cause you got nigga friends. Nigga. And physically, that don't mean I'm not infected by the history.
Okay, I like that. I like that he provided broken arguments for both and strong arguments for both, because both ways of thinking are broken. Both ways, from what I can tell so far. I'll tell you in a minute, but both ways of thinking are a bit fragmented. Knowing you were just a few generations from being in that you know, in that era. You don't have to be directly in something to be directly affected by it, especially when discussing something like this. The story of this runs through families, and for some people, like I said, it doesn't mean anything. I spoke on this a good while ago, saying that if you really care about your family, it's actually easy to put yourself in this position and see things from those perspectives from way back then. Now, I could say most people probably aren't thinking about it, but if you sat down and thought about it, it might make you feel a little bit different.
Coloring my blackness, trying to find a job, but ain't nobody call me back yet. Now I gotta sell drugs and put food in my cabinet. You crackers ain't slick, this is all a part of your tactics. Don't talk about no motherfucking. I can't even drive without the cops trying to start shit. I'm tired of this system. I know about no fried chicken and no barbecue. You don't know about the two-step or no loose change. You don't know about no 2 chains or no care about his money and power and being ugly, and that's the cracker within you. Hatred all in your brain and slowly start to convince you, and you teach it to your children until the cycle continue. Blame it on Puerto Rico, blame it on blame it on.
I can't even.
But I cry a lot. You don't know what it's like to be in a frying pot.
Alright, the hug was a little cheesy. Okay, but that doesn't happen. You can say all that and it still doesn't matter. Alright, man. Joyner, I like this, right? I like it. Like I said, it's not something I can just get hyped to because I'm really trying to pay attention to what he's saying, and I'm definitely going to listen to it later because I like when the words are so impactful that you literally have to hear every bit of it, and you sap all the life out of it. It like gets into your brain and it just swirls around in there and makes you feel something. This what I just listened to right now made me feel. Issues and high points. With this song, Joyner essentially just tries to open up dialogue between two people who assume that they are not racist, introduces them to one another, gives their points of view and their ideas. In both arguments, there are points of views that are fragmented, like the red cap guy thinking that not racist because there's people in his family who are black or he knows black people, saying that I shouldn't have to have tact and not use a racial slur because you get to use it, saying that, you know, my idols are somehow better than yours because Tupac was just a rapper, and all of which are great individuals, but you don't have to compare them. They've all done different things. Dreaded Kid was talking about there being an instant double meaning to every person who isn't black. Their use of it somehow means something different. That's an assumption that you cannot validate, assuming that because no one called you back for a job that the first thing you have to do is sell drugs. What I do like here is that Joyner tries to some extent to be objective in defending the white way of thinking, but it's clear as day that Joyner is on one side more than the other. While I do agree with the fact that, you know, no matter what you are or who you are, you should be able to do whatever you want as long as you're not affecting anyone else, and as long as the things you're doing aren't harmful. Why liking rap music or dressing a certain way or wearing a certain hairstyle, or for some people being a little bit more eccentric, as long as they're respectful, why that way of living needs to be criticized simply because it's something that you aren't used to or you don't understand. I feel like it's a halfway decent job of defending the red cap guy's point of view while putting a bunch of effort in defending the Dreaded Kid's point of view. So the video doesn't really come across as equal because we can clearly see by the way he's rapping and how much more he gives to back up the black kid's point of view, that he's clearly on one side a little bit more. But if the point of the video is to bring people together, I'd like to think if you didn't know XYZ about white people that you'd go do some research before making this. Put all arguments possible into the conversation. I like how they had close to pretty much the same amount of time explaining both points. I don't think it's a video that's done with bitterness. I think he's trying his best to understand both parties. With that being said, if the point of this music video is to bring more people together, I don't really know how it's gonna do that. Shout out to both actors because the lip syncing was amazing in this video. So having them, you know, go with the exact same delivery, the speed, the tempo, and keep up with it while being emotional and spitting, it had to be difficult for both of them to do. I hope it took multiple takes because if this was one try, you two are gods. I love how there's a constant, you know, motion around the center table, kind of implying that these arguments have been used over and over and we're just going in a circle and back to back. One part of the video that I hated was the fact that he put the pillar in between both of them and tried to insinuate that, yeah, this is about both sides. Like, that was really corny to me. I didn't like that. Has no effect on the song, but the video, the visual, I'm just like, that is, no. Having this topic, it could have been done in a way worse way. The end, nah, like the hug at the end was a little bit too much for me. I like that we're trying to understand one another, but this isn't gonna happen. okay? And when you force this ending, it makes me think about the point of the song, which is to get people to truly understand one another. But the arguments Joyner is using have already been put out there, so I don't really know what this is gonna solve. I like the video and I like the song, but I don't think it's gonna do anything in the long run. From the emotion within the video given by both actors, it seemed as if one came into this revelation while the other really didn't learn that much at all. It makes the video seem a little bit weird because if they're going to be giving their perspective on the situation and only one has learned something, doesn't that take away the equal aspect of it? And compare the emotions that were given facially by both actors. If you look at one and look at the other, clearly there was a difference in perspective, and clearly one learned more about the other than the other learned about the other. I know that was stupid, but looking at them both, you can see that one hit harder than the other. So how is this going to be something that you would consider equal if you're going harder for one side and not as hard for the other? They both had the same amount of time, both actors were great, but it definitely appeared as though one was learning way more about the other. As the lyric states in this video, you think you know everything, which could be said. Maybe that's why he looked like he had this revelation. Having a guy using the N-word in the beginning of your video to having him hug the dude he used it against in less than 5 minutes is a little weird, Joyner. So what I got from this video, I got less equality from it and more a guy studying an animal and trying to understand the animal by the end of the song. And the animal's thought process, which unfortunately would be the black kid in this situation, I can appreciate the message in trying to force this theme of equality between both sides and trying to understand everyone. In reality, these situations can never fully be equal because they aren't equally flawed. Flaws are flaws, yes, but flaws can sometimes be on bigger or smaller scales. A flaw of listening to too much rap music versus a flaw of you literally seeing police brutality and overlooking it. Those two are obviously on different scales. So in this video, Joyner doesn't really tackle the issues that make us equal. Tackles issues that are on unequal flaw scales, like comparing the use of the N-word to listening to too much rap music, or comparing overlooking police brutality to sagging your pants. There are way more bigger scale flaws that are on the opening perspective as opposed to the closing perspective. So if you're going to try to make people feel equal, you should try to find something that they're equal on. That being said, Joyner Lucas does still do a pretty decent job of trying to convey a message of equality. I think it's broken in a lot more aspects than the ones that are just intentional, like forcing this hug between the two at the end of the video, clearly giving more shine and more understanding to one side than the other, kind of taking away the point of a video being two people going into this conversation equally, because only one wants to know more about the other. The other just seems to be there because he was asked to be there and explain why he does what he does, not necessarily to learn about the other. I enjoyed the music for what it was, though. It definitely still made me feel something. I'm glad Joyner released this, but unfortunately I don't know what it's supposed to do. I don't know what it's gonna do. I don't know what it's supposed to do. I don't know what who it's supposed to change. Joyner, good video, good song. Don't know why it was done, but we got it. So there's my review of the song. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment what you thought about this song in the comment section down below. Where else would you put it? And I'll see you all next time.